Hey guys, VaulSC here. Today we're going to take a look at a game of infiNity between the Combined Army and YuJing. So it will be the vanilla versions of both of those factions, and we're going to be playing a game of Unmasking. Been a little bit of a while since I played my vanilla Combined Army. This time I've tried to come up with a fairly serious list. It's always good to do a bit of a test of what kind of list can I put together, which I feel really pushes the limits of what Combined Army are capable of in terms of flexibility and capability. Not running the mnemonic units, but I'm going to be running quite a vast list of 17 or so models with a lot of, as I said, flexibility there to try and get the mission done. Alright, so a bit of a blurry photograph to start us off of the battlefield, just using one of my battle mats combined with Garth's terrain here. And grab a color, we're going to get a green for this. So Unmasking, as you guys know, there are 3 objectives in the middle. And the aim is to also deploy 3 HVTs on your side in various different places, and your opponent's sort of doing the same with his HVTs as well. And what you've got to do is move over and press one of the buttons. You're able to nominate one of his HVTs, and that HVT turns into a designated target, which can then be destroyed. One of the HVTs is actually a special designated target, which yields extra bonus points, and there are further bonus points for assassinating that particular target with your data tracker. Keeping your data tracker alive is worth a bonus point, and securing more of these consoles by the end of the game is a bonus point or 2 as well. And other than that, no classifieds, so we'll get straight into it. My Noctifer Spitfire is deployed in head deployment in this location. Running the Spitfire because he's a much more aggressive, proactive tool than the Noctifer Missile Launcher. As much as I love the Noctifer Missile Launcher, sometimes he can be a little bit unreliable if you don't get the right sight line or something like that. But the Noctifer Spitfire is just what this particular list needs to go and do the damage on their side of the table, picking up the easy kills. Let's go through my deployment. So my opponent's won the roll, picked table side. He's taken the side that he wants. I've gone for first turn. So from right to left, there is the Nexus Specialist Lieutenant, just a plain old lieutenant there. Echidron right next to him. Then we've got a 4-point Gaki. This is the Hungry that explodes. Doesn't have a chain rifle or any gun at all. The Dachiratsu Witch Soldier right here. Then we've got Bit and Kiss situated nearby. There's a Crackot Renegade with SMG, I think rolling up Bioimmunity or something like that. One of my HVTs is to the far right of the table, and another one of them is at the entrance of this building here. So I've got one HVT here and the second one there. Then there's also a Morat Hacker nearby and an Emitron going on behind this truck. And if I move my face, there's going to be a shrouded Fort Observer further to the middle. But to get a closer look at that, we'll move on to the next deployment picture. So similar sort of stuff. Through the middle. So we already saw Bit and Kiss, we saw the Crackot, we saw the Emitron here. Morat Hacker there. Next to him is the Q-Drone with HMG. We've got the Doctor nearby to come and help if he goes down. There's the Shrouded, and in the middle of the table, another one of my HVTs is going to be there. This particular HVT is going to be the real HVT, so that's going to be worth the most points to my opponent. But he's quite snug behind the building, and he's got a lot of protection with the Q-Drone and so forth nearby. To the left of that, you can see where the HVT was. I've got another Shrouded here, so there's 2 Shrouded Fort Observers in different combat groups. Another Emitron landing safely next to this guy who looks like a Crackot, but unfortunately I left one of my Dachiratsus out of the box. He was at home on the shelf, so confusingly having to use a Crackot Renegade to represent the second Dachiratsu. Sorry guys, there's an R-Drone here as well. And I think further to that, there's just another little Echidron far over to the left, and that's my whole deployment, except for the reserve model, which is going to be a Mark Rep Tracker. A bit of a close-up on Bit and Kiss's position there as well. So my opponent on the other side of the table, he's got Quangshi here, another Quangshi over here. There's a Shaolin Monk right at the back. Another further forward Quangshi. There's a group of Hollow Echoes which represent a Canren, a Fort Observer boarding shotgun, a Celestial Guard with light smoke grenade launcher, flash pulse spot here. There's also a Bounty Hunter sniper in his deployment zone as well. Let's go get a closer look at that. So through the middle, Shaolin Monk, Quangshi, Flash Pulse Bot, control device. There's a Xian HMG on this building further up. Oh, and also a Guilang mine layer underneath the building. On the other side of that building, there is his mine on the other side to help defend his flank. So there's the Canron Hollow Echoes, just above the Cien Warrior to the fore of him. There's a Oznet, which is representing a Krakot Renegade on the YuJing side, and his HVT. Note that this will be the real YuJing HVT, so I'm going to have to go for that and get a bunch of bonus points from it. Just going back a couple of photos, I forgot to mention that his other HVT's on the far corner, far flank there. So the first one's there, the second one's in the middle, and the third one will be further to the side. We'll get a better look at those later. Very blurry photo of his Oznet and HVT in the center, along with the old Cien Warrior and Canron. Some of these photos turned out quite poorly, unfortunately. So Bounty Hunter, just getting a long line of fire through this big diagonal through the board, which will be very useful. Sensabot nearby, Guangxi, Shaolin Monk, another Guangxi. We already know about these guys, and there's the other HVT on the far right-hand side. Hopefully some of these photos look a bit better. Okay, and there's the mine, which is deployed right in front of the Sensabot on the right-hand flank for YuJing. My reserve model is the Mark Rep Tracker on the left-hand side. I recommend in this scenario, it's a good idea to make your reserve model the data tracker that you intend to kill the HVTs with, because then you can deploy your model after you've seen where your opponent's HVTs actually are. So that gives you a huge advantage in actually going and killing them after you've pressed a button. Really, really useful. My opponent's reserve model is this Yanhuo. Because the big old gun will poke into the side of this terrain piece, he's facing the other way, but note that his side arcs are here. He will actually be facing forward. Also note that this particular golden yellow Yanhuo is actually my model that I own. I'm just lending it to my opponent for a while because I almost never run this particular unit profile, whereas he's giving it a good go. So there you go. Alright, combined army, first turn. So the Krakot, the Datrats are moving around this side with Impetuous, and also the Gaki following him. Gaki does have climbing plus, but doesn't really go up and above the building, just because that would take longer than just sort of skirting around, because going up and coming down actually takes a fair bit of movement. So the Gaki just quickly zips around the side of the building there. Towards the center, so we had another Krakot move out somewhere else, but I didn't take a photo of it. Nothing really happened significantly there. So I've got a shrouded forward observer starting around here, moving through here, and the plan is to go and actually press the button and start laying mines, start finding out which HVTs are fake or real. So using the Seed Soldier from my classic Shazvasti box set, since I never get to use this model very much, moving past the objective. Failing the whip attempt twice in a row, which is very annoying. It does happen, though. You have to sort of accept that that's going to befall you occasionally in infiNity. I've got a very big order pool here, but there's a lot more I could have achieved if I hadn't failed those rolls. Anyway, does get it eventually. So I almost called him a Speculo. The Shrouded reveals this HVT on the far left-hand flank for YuJing, and that allows me to then move into close combat with it, with the Gaki. Not moving directly with a short skill, but moving within zone of control, forcing a change phase or reset, and then moving in with a second short skill. If my opponent shoots the Gaki, this is the beauty of it, the Gaki might explode and kill his HVT, so he decides not to. There's also a Guilang assault hacker here, which can see the Gaki, but he doesn't want to reveal it. Very cautious move from my opponent, because he knows that Bit and Kiss could fire a repeater over there and just kill him very easily, so he decides to stay in the shadows. I think there actually was an attempt from the Guangxi to pistol him, but that didn't take effect. So there you have it. Gaki is in close combat. Continuing with Group 2's orders. So we found out that this HVT is actually not the real HVT at this point, and the Gaki is over there taking care of it anyway. So the plan here is to use this little ladder on top of this terrain piece to move the Shrouded up the ladder so its silhouette is somewhere around here. And that might give it line of sight over top of this this white area here to his Krakot, which is the data tracker. If you have first turn in this mission, killing your opponent's data tracker is a really big deal, because you get a bonus point out of it, and you prevent your opponent from netting those additional bonus points that they could otherwise get quite easily from killing your true designated target. So the Shrouded goes in there. There actually was line of sight to his Yanhuo as it did this, but I'm happy to risk it. The Shrouded fires 3 shots at the Krakot to try and kill him. The Krakot, unluckily for me, had some sort of regen or something like that, but luckily for me, managed to get 2 clean hits through and killed the Krakot. The Shrouded does die in response, but it was a very, very good trade here because the Shrouded has pressed a button successfully, revealed an HVT, killed the enemy data tracker, and although the photo doesn't show it, there's actually a mine having been placed by the Shrouded further off into this direction here somewhere. So good use of the second auto pull there. You can see a bit more of a close-up of the Shrouded going up the ladder, coming back down again, and trying to shoot at this this Krakot Renegade. Okay, after deliberating for a little while about what to do, I decided I would spring my Noctifer Spitfire. So moving out of hidden deployment along this angle here is going to get line of sight from the Yanhuo, but the Yanhuo can't really do very much. The model here could just sort of skip past and mark a state. Yanhuo really is smart to just delay here, because if he just goes for the Discover, it might be a Noctifer missile launcher firing a missile as it comes forward to use its assault pistol later across the table. Also avoiding the line of sight of the Bounty Hunter just for now. We want to destroy the flashball spot situated here, covering this line of fire. Then we're going to use the spot here for attacking the Bounty Hunter. So moving a bit closer, you can see where we're moving into. Just going to shunt into there. There's the mine from the Shrouded, by the way, and we're going to use the cover of this particular building to situate the Noctifer there, take out the Bounty Hunter, take out the flashball spot if possible. Alright, so Noctifer getting in position now, drawing a bit of a bead on the Flash VaulSC here. I think it takes 1 or 2 orders to do this. Flash VaulSC bot is destroyed by the end of the Noctifer burst though. Note that the Canren, Sien Warrior, all prone, they're in total cover, nothing to worry about there, but also note that this HVT has not been transformed into a designated target yet because I've only pressed 1 button, not 2, so we can't attack that yet, sadly. Plus, we'd want to use our data tracker to be doing that if that was going to be happening. Okay, so again, horribly blurry photos, so apologies for that, guys, but there's a Noctifer Spitfire here, there's a Bounty Hunter there. The Noctifer shoots, fails to kill the Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter decides to stay there, shooting again with a Spitfire, knocking him unconscious. Unfortunately, he's rolled up an auto medkit, so that's really, really frustrating. So the Noctifer has to skulk away after a few botched attempts there, and will need to return to some sort of place of safety. So with the last few orders, moving around, and is going to get to this position here to set up in the middle of the table, just somewhere a bit safer, also guarding the HVT as well. The Mark Rep Tracker has moved up into total cover. I've used a coordinated order to help do this. I've also moved some of the Dacher Artsies and so forth back into total cover as well, just to prepare for the enemy turn. But you can also see this objective has been taken in the name of the combined army. So Noctifer comes right back into total cover behind this dumpster. There's the HVT right behind it, along with a Krakot and a Shrouded. So a bulk of tools located in this this little alley street here. All right, so YuJing turn 1. My opponent now moving through with a Krakot Renegade towards this this Gaki. And he can shoot into combat if he wants, but if he misses and kills his own HVT, that's not great. And if he does hit and kill the Gaki, it'll explode and potentially kill the HVT. So not a wonderful scenario. Elsewhere, moving forward with impetuous troops, just finding the best positions they can. We've got a guy coming through here, Shalon Monk, right next to the Bounty Hunter, who during the early part of the first turn here uses her auto medkit, and fortunately for her, manages to revive herself, which quite frustrating, really. Bounty Hunter is back, covering that very long fire lane. We have the Canren moving out now with all of the Hollow Echoes trying to get into a position towards the middle of the field, using one of the Hollow Echoes to trigger the mine that I placed earlier with the Shrouded. A great way of actually removing it before coming through to where he needs to be. So then, Canren moving to the objective. This is the same objective which I had captured earlier. Or is it? No, I think he's going for the middle objective instead, recapturing that. So this model here, this is the Guifang dude from the Imperial Service Diaphos kit. Moving around here, and he's going to be trying to set up right here to shoot at the Noctifer with his boarding shotgun. After he pressed the button, he decided to reveal this HVT, which is, of course, the real designated target. And his plan is to move in and fire his boarding shotgun at the Noctifer and hit the HVT with the impact template at the same time, which is a good plan. A few small issues with the plan is that he'll be +6 to hit, -6 for Tio Camo, -3 for cover. So missing is certainly possible. And if he gets shot by the Noctifus pistol, well, that's pretty bad. Also, if the HVT manages to dodge prone or passes an armor save and goes guts prone, then the Noctifer is the only thing that's going to get hit here by the Canren. And also, behind these two guys, if these two silhouettes weren't there, there's actually a Q drone which has got line of fire right through here, were it not for those silhouettes. So there is that to take into account. Goes for it anyway, and fires the impact, and manages to win this. So my opponent doing very well with the dice here, destroying the Noctifer, or at least rendering him unconscious. Decided not to go to Dogged because I've got a doctor nearby to revive him, and the HVT unfortunately taken out. So he's netted himself a decent number of points here in terms of objective points, but did not do it with his data tracker because the data tracker was dead. So the Canren does very well here. I'm not too sure why I took a photo of this earlier part here. He might have done some sort of coordinated order, moving the Guilang and Guangxi into better positions. So there you have it. All of the good guys, or the bad guys, laid low, however you want to look at it. A Noctifer and HVT down. Alright, so some continued moves into better positions with his little skirmishing units, Guangxis and Shaolin monks, getting behind cover wherever they need to be to set up for future turns. His Guangxi over here decides to go into close combat. Now, this is not a bad idea, because he gains an additional... Well, apparently, my opponent believes that he gains an additional dice for the designated target counting as a friendly trooper, so providing the additional +1 burst for close combat here. The Guangxi does have a knife, so if he does win this, the Gaki will be destroyed without blowing up, so it's a pretty good maneuver. Unluckily for him, though, the Gaki is CC 19 and the Guangxi is CC 14, and I managed to do well by rolling above 10 with my first attempt, reducing the Guangxi to Dogged, and then he failed the second close combat attempt as well, and the Guangxi was destroyed. So the Gaki doing extremely well in this scenario here. Having said that, though, decides to shoot into close combat with his Yan Huo, as it turns out, because he's just sort of desperate to remove the Gaki in general. Actually, I can't quite remember what happened here. He may not have shot at me with the Yan Huo after all. I'm a bit forgetful about what actually took place in that move. So we've still got the Gaki there with the person there. We've still got a Dachiratsu nearby. Okay. Alright. So he's just set up shot with the Yan Huo. The idea is so that he can shoot into the Gaki after he dispatches the HVT and starts coming down this particular channel here. Alright. So Combined Army turn 2. Here's what's happening. Impetuous. We've got a Dachiratsu Witch Soldier moving down the side of the table. This crate here is obstructing the Yan Huo, which really only has line of sight through to the Gaki and the HVT here. But the Guangxi does have line of sight through to the Dachiratsu, so they're mutually firing their pistols at each other without getting very much done at long range. This model here looks like a Krakot. As I said earlier in the bat rep, it's actually a Dachiratsu Witch Soldier again with chain rifle. So despite the Canren re-hollow-ecking, as we could call it, the chain rifle is able to destroy them all, so decides to just fire back at me with a body shotgun instead. And I chain rifle them, and both of us are traded. We're both dead. So Dachiratsu versus Canren, they're both destroyed in this little shootout. And yeah, this particular objective on the side here is still captured by me. It's just the essential objective which he took earlier with the Canren's abilities. So speaking of which, a Bit and Kiss now moving out through the middle of the table. The Bounty Hunter, who stood up again, has a bit of a narrow line through here, but there is enough of a lane here for them to approach the objective without actually crossing into the line of fire of the Bounty Hunter, if that makes sense. That allows me to then move through the central objective and recapture it for the combined army here, which will mean that I've got 2 objectives captured to his 1, and I can now attempt to reveal the HVT who's in the center here, which will allow me to shoot it with the mark rep tracker, or even just shoot it with Bit and Kiss if that doesn't work out. So that goes without a hitch, and this objective designated target is revealed, and I discover that thankfully it is the actual true designated target worth all the points. So then I can move in with my mark rep tracker from this balcony. There is a bit of a sign in the way which will be quite obstructive, but he's able to see just enough past the sign to get to our designated target there, and the HMG easily blasting the enemy HVT and scoring me a ton of points for killing the true designated target and doing it with my data tracker as well, so that puts me firmly in the lead. He does have a camo token here which chooses not to respond, and it chooses not to respond because it is a mine. Okay, we still have a Dachiratsu on the right-hand flank, so he is moving around here, and trying to fire some pistol shots at this Guangxi. Actually, no, I got that wrong. The Gaki had been destroyed at some point by I think the Yanhuo firing to close combat, crazily enough. So the Dachiratsu now moves in, fires the pistols at the designated target, and kills it. So that's a bonus point. And then able to creep forward at the Guangxi. The Guangxi firing at long range and -3 for mimetism, missing all of his pot shots at the Dachiratsu. And the Dachiratsu rolling really well here, taking out the designated target. And as you can see here, just blowing it away. And then moving into range of the Guilang assault hacker, who decides not to respond, because otherwise he'd get hit by a chain rifle and would reveal himself anyway. So the Dachiratsu firing back at the Guangxi, neither of them getting a kill on each other, and then the Dachiratsu able to use its intuitive attack with the chain rifle to reveal the assault hacker and destroy it. So very, very good run here from the Dachiratsu, holding off the Guangxi, killing the designated target, and removing an entire Guilang assault hacker from the side of the table. Very, very effective. Proud of you, buddy. Okay, Bit and Kiss going into Cyber Mask mode, so these silhouette tokens representing the fact that they are impersonators at this point. And then moving across the line of fire of the Bounty Hunter, who misses a shot at these guys, or discovers them at least, and then misses the shot as this happens. And then Bit and Kiss able to move here behind this objective, but I realized I didn't have enough orders to press the button and keep the mark rep tracker alive at the same time, because the mark rep tracker was still standing up. If we just go back a few photos here to kill the objective, the designated target, so I had to spend the last order just making him go prone so that he wouldn't get killed, which is quite important to save points. So at this location in the game, I've run out of orders and I can't actually press the button with Bit and Kiss. Okay, so my opponent, it's his turn 2. The Guangxi moving out impetuously, having a bit of a shootout with the Dachiratsu. Again, nothing really happening. So the Yanhuo is here, ready to gun him down instead. Also, Shaolin Monk, impetuous, moves through, tries to throw a smoke grenade to block line of sight from the crack op, but still leave a lane for the Yanhuo to shoot past. So there he is, there, throwing the smoke grenade down. Quite interestingly, he's leaving himself a lane for the Yanhuo to fire at the Dachiratsu, but still blocking off the actual dodge here with the Shaolin Monk, just so that the Guangxi can move into the smoke. So I actually got that wrong a couple of photos ago. Right here, just before the Guangxi moves out impetuously, we see the smoke going down first. Elsewhere, another Shaolin Monk moving towards the middle of the table. I don't really have anything to cover this. Alright. He does have a Bounty Hunter sniper here again. I can't remember what was going on in this particular image. Just repositioning. He may have needed to shift his position or stand up or do something different to improve his sightlines. Okay, quite a crucial moment in the game. So we had a Yanhuo here. He was positioned around about there. First short skill move to this position, so he gets line of sight to a couple of different models. There's the Dachiratsu here, and Bit and Kiss over here. And his plan is to split burst and destroy both of them. Now that I think about it, I believe you actually have to pick a single location in your move and shoot at all models visible from that point. But we neglected to remember that if that indeed is a thing. It might not even be a thing. Maybe you can shoot from several different points in your move. I don't fully know. But the main thing is that he's splitting his burst and putting, I think, 2 shots into the remote over here, and then 3 shots into the Dachiratsu using shock, just so he can remove them both efficiently. And amazingly, what happens here is that Kiss, the remote that belongs to Bit, who's here, fires his adhesive launcher, rolls a 7, which is a critical hit, unfortunately, for the Yanhuo, because it's long range, which is -3, and Kiss is Blister Skill 10, and the Yanhuo does not get any crits of his own. So, amazingly, the Yanhuo Lieutenant is now immobilized permanently because he's got no engineer. So that was very, very sad. I should point out that let's pretend that Kiss needed an 8. Well, let's say he rolls a 6. If the Yanhuo, with his 2 shots, manages to roll like a 1 and a 2, or a 3 and a 20, or something that results in him not winning the face-to-face roll, he then needs something like an 8 or less to survive and not get immobilized. So it could have happened without the crit being there. But overall, the percentage chance of this happening was pretty low. I'd put it at less than 10 or 15% for this to actually happen. Still, he did take a risk, and having a lieutenant bogged down there is pretty annoying, really. Okay, Shaolin Monk continuing to move forward into the middle, getting probably a smoke grenade down so that the Xian Warrior can carve up Bit and Kiss. Really, he should have started with that rather than using the Yanhuo. Sensabot getting into a closer location, he'll be needed in the last turn. The Xian Warrior now standing up and firing at the location of Bit here, so shredding her, and then it'll remove Kiss as well. If only he'd done that prior to activating the Yanhuo, then this wouldn't have been such a big issue. Alright, he's also got his Guilang mine layer, who was situated around here, moves through to the middle of the table, starting to lay mines towards the center of the table. He's just trying to prevent me from gaining an extra foothold in the middle, capturing more objectives, and going after his third data tracker. His third designated target, I should be calling it. So sitting up here, placing some more mines represented by these little white tokens here. So there's one at the back, one at the front. Xian Warrior gaining some additional cover here, just in case I decide to use my Q drone to take him out. And the skirmishing warbands just flooding the middle of the table, getting into position. He's set up one of his Guangxi behind this little dumpster here, right where the Canren used to be. And it just means that if I venture through the middle here, he's going to be able to fire at me with his chain rifle. Not that I have a lot of troops left to do that with. And suppression fire onto the Guilang mine layer in the middle of the table here. Alright, so the final combined army turn, assisted fire going down on the Q-drone, thanks to the hacker right next to him. Moving out a little bit further so he can fire long range at this Shaolin Monk. Because the Yanhuo is immobilized there, I could also move up and shoot at the Yanhuo and put him as a lost lieutenant, which would mean in his last turn he'd been lost lieutenant, and that would basically be a loss right there, game crippling. But luckily for him, the Shaolin Monk plants a smoke grenade down, and it does it with the crit, in fact, and blocks all of the incoming fire from the Q-drone. Speaking of the Q-drone, moving further around here to try and nail this guy here. Just getting a shot onto him, just so I can clear out some of these mid-troops to make life easier for me. And then Dr. Worm deciding to move out from the cover of the truck, get a very faint line of sight, but a line of sight nonetheless to his Guangxi, trying to shoot him, and luckily getting a couple of hits through which go through, so don't even have to worry about Dogged, managing to rip him up with one short skill, and then thinking of moving the Doctor in further, perhaps to try and recover one of these models, either the Dachuratsi or the Noctifer, just so I can defend in the last game round. So there you go, Doctor firing through at the Guangxi here, and eliminating him. Elsewhere, the actual Krakot with the submachine gun firing long range at his Guangxi in the background, trying to remove an order from his pool, does that successfully with the submachine guns, even at long range, takes him out. Q-drone now deciding to draw a bit of an angle against the Xian Warrior. I did this because when the Doctor moved out here, my opponent said that he could see me through this gap, so I went prone with the Doctor and moved out here anyway. But because he could see the Doctor, I thought, well, why not just fire with the Q-drone anyway. So Q-drone comes in to penalize the Xian Warrior, but the penalty doesn't occur, of course. The Xian Warrior fires back, rolls a crit 14 with his HMG, and puts the Q-drone in the grave. Lieutenant order, just covering this flank here. I don't lose anything if I lose my lieutenant in the last turn of the game, so just providing an additional arrow with him. Always worth doing. Doctor moves past the Dachuratsi, attempts to detonate the mine, and also Doctor the Dachuratsi at the same time. Mine goes off, destroys the unfortunate medtech, and the whip rollers failed on the Dachuratsi, killing him as well, so a bit of an unsuccessful doctoring run there. And lastly, Shrouded moving through to the middle of the table, and setting up camp exactly here. He can see through this little line here, see through across this line here, is hopefully going to defend this objective from recapture from the YuJing forces. Also, Group 2, Hacker moving out just to provide an additional annoying arrow just to be a bit of a pain in the butt. Alright, so my opponent now moving through, he's got an impetuous smoke being thrown down, I believe, from the Shell and Monk behind this aircraft over here, trying to set up for the Cianmore to do some work. We also have the sensor bot trying to move back from around the building here. He's going to attempt to come through here and take this objective back, but he's going to come in line of sight of my Shrouded. So, what happens here? There's a move here in particular where he moves out initially, and I decide to hold. So this, although it's been revealed here, we're just going to take a step back. When he initially moves to this location here, I decided to just delay with my, or not delay, declare no ARO with my Shrouded, which really surprised him. He thought that I'd just shoot him straight away with the ARO from the combi rifle, but first thing, I'm trying to bluff here and make him think that I have an assault hacker, because if he comes into range of the objective, the assault hacker would be able to oblivion him, which would shut down his run, really, to take the objectives back. So that sort of put a bit of doubt in his mind. Secondarily, once he does come in range of the objective, I can put down a mine as an ARO later, and he'll be too close, it'll be too late to try and avoid that mine. So that's the real beauty of doing this. So the bot moves around the corner, discovers the Shrouded instead of moving forward, and then the Shrouded responds basically just by putting down a mine once the Cien Warrior comes down to kill him. And although the Shrouded is destroyed, the mine appears there, the bot goes into the objective, mine blows up, and the bot is destroyed by it, even though he does reclaim the objective here. So that reveals a designated target. He goes in to fire at it with his bounty hunter, which unfortunately misses for him. And then he moves out with the Guilang to try and take out the designated target, but I rolled a 12 or 11 or something like that, or a critical dodge, whatever it was. And we looked up in the book that the combined army bonus designated target, which is something I find really stupid, by the way, Corvus Belli dropping the ball yet again, giving one faction a better designated target than the rest of the factions is completely bonkers stupid. But we have to play the rules as they are, and I rolled the exact number that the improved designated target needed to dodge this as well. So we end the game with a pretty convincing win from combined army. I managed to kill the enemy true designated target with my data tracker. He's killed mine, but without using the data tracker. I've kept my data tracker alive. He's lost his. He ended up capturing this objective back, but I have this objective here, and neither of us got this one, so we're fairly even on that front. So yeah, pretty significant win to combined army. I feel that in a mission like this, like I said, it's a really good idea to actually take first turn is pretty good in this mission. Try to assassinate their data tracker if you can, and try to keep in reserve the model you plan on being your data tracker, and putting it somewhere where it can easily move out to whichever HVTs you think are likely to be the enemy designated target. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, had a bit of fun. Back with some more bat reps pretty soon. I've got a little bit of a mini competition coming up this Sunday, so we'll be reporting on that as well next week.